We begin the Gemara today at the last line on Daf Chav Gimel Amud Beis. V'Rami the Rab Meir ad Rab Meir. So the Gemara brought before from the Mishnah the Machlekes of Rab Meir and the Chachamim when it comes to freeing a Evet through Kesef. So Rab Meir says that it could only be Bekesef like the Acherim. Someone else has to pay the master to free him. And the reason is because the Evet cannot be Zeiche in any money that's going to be his. Whatever is Zeiche goes to the master. Furthermore, the Gemara explained that the Chiddush of Rab Meir was, even if someone is going to give the Evet, the money, with a clear condition that it's not even yours, I'm giving it to you just for the purpose to free yourself, but still, automatically, whatever money the Evet has any kinyan in, automatically goes to the master. That condition doesn't help. But the Chachamim disagree. Rabbanan say that when you give it with this condition, so he can be kaina the money with this purpose to free himself, and therefore he can free himself b'kesef al yedei atzmai. That was the lashon of the Mishnah, with his own money. So here the Gemara will bring a contradiction in the opinion of Rab Meir and Rabbanan. Rami the Rab Meir, and the contradiction was asked on Rab Meir's opinion. V'Rami the Rabbanan ad Rabbanan, and also a contradiction in the Rabbanan's opinion. The Tanya, because it says in the Braisa as follows. And here, just before we learn the Braisa, this Braisa is going to talk about redeeming Ma'aser Sheni. And when it comes to redeeming Ma'aser Sheni, the halacha is if you redeem your own Ma'aser Sheni, so you have to add a fifth to the money that you're redeeming it with. But if someone else is redeeming your Ma'aser Sheni, so then you just redeem it for the value of what it is without adding that fifth. So here it talks about a woman that's redeeming Ma'aser Sheni. Ein isha paida Ma'aser Sheni b'loy chaimish. A woman cannot redeem the Ma'aser Sheni without adding a fifth. That's the Tanakam over here. Okay, so now the Gemara at this point thinks, what are we talking about? We're talking about her redeeming Ma'aser Sheni that grew in the properties of her husband. Okay, so let's see how the Gemara is going to explain this. Rab Shimon ben Elazar says in the name of Rab Meir, Isha paida Ma'aser Sheni b'lei chaimish. When she redeems this Ma'aser Sheni, she does not have to add a fifth. Says the Gemara, so what's the case here? What's this machlekes all about? Heichi dami, what are we talking about? Ileime, if you're going to say the case here is bezuzi the Baal, that she's using her husband's money, or ma'aser the Baal, and this is also ma'aseres from the fields of the husband that she's taking the ma'aseres for, or she's redeeming the ma'aseres. So if so, what's the machlekes here? Shlichusei the Baal ka'avda, she's simply a shliach doing this for the sake of her husband, and if she's a shliach of the Baal, so what's the reason why we would say that she can redeem it without adding a chaimish? When a person redeems the ma'aseres himself, he has to add a chaimish. If he appoints a shliach to do it for him, you also have to add a chaimish. Only if someone else comes along and does it, you don't. But if his wife here is doing his shlichus, she should have to add a chaimish. So ve'ela, we have to say the case over here is bezuzi dida. She's using her own money. And Rashi actually says that the money that she has is from nichsei maluk, which are from properties that the paytas go to the husband, the money that she brought into the marriage, or property she brought into the marriage where the paytas go to the husband, but the karka itself belongs to her. So from that she has money. Umaiser didei, and this is maiser that grew in the husband's properties. And here since she's using her own money to separate it for the husband's maises that grew in his properties, over here you can say that she doesn't have to give a chaimish because she's someone else that's separating from her money for the husband's maises. Says the Gemara, but there's a pasuk that says Ish Omer Achmane V'loy Isha, that the pasuk says Ish Omer Achmane, that a man when he has his maises, so he can be paid the maises, but v'loy isha, but not a woman. The woman is not considered to be like the husband himself. The pasuk here clearly says, basically, what the pshat in this miyut is, that you might think that a person's wife is considered to be just like him himself. So just like if he redeems it himself, so there he has to redeem with a chaimish. So too, when a wife redeems, so she also has to give a chaimish. So this pasuk is saying, no, ish v'loy isha, that a isha is considered to be like someone else, and since she's compared to someone else, she doesn't have to add a chaimish. So if this pasuk is clearly saying that she's like someone else, why would there be any machlekes here in the Braisa whether she has to add a chaimish or not? This is the pshat in the Gemara according to Rashi. This is the girsa we have here in the Gemara. Taisvus though disagrees, because Taisvus says it's pashut that a wife, is considered to be someone else and not the husband, it's not necessary for the Gemara to bring this pasuk Isha merachmana v'lo Isha. The Gemara could have just simply asked that if it's bezuzi dida, if it's her money, and it's meiser didei, and the meiser comes from the husband, so then she's someone else, and when she redeems it, it's pashut that she doesn't have to give a chaimish. Why does the Gemara have to bring this pasuk of Isha merachmana v'lo Isha? So the Taisus here changes the gears in the Gemara. Rabbeinu Tam's Pshat, he says that you have to read the Gemara bezuzi dida umaise dida. It's all hers. It's her money. It's produce that grew in her fields. And nevertheless, the Gemara is bringing this pasuk that says clearly Isha merachmana v'lo Isha, that a Isha does not have to add a chaimish. The halacha of adding a chaimish in the pasuk, it says only by a Ish and not by a Isha. That's Rabbeinu Tam's Pshat. If it would be hers, she would have to add a chaimish, right? If it's both her money and her property, you would have to add a chaimish. But over here the pasuk is saying that no, that she will not have to add a chaimish. Okay, that's Rabbeinu Tam's Pshat. Okay, so the Gemara says, so El Olav. Well, don't you think, what is the case over here when the Tanakama and Rab Meir are arguing? The case over here is the Akni law Acher Mana. That what happened over here is that someone else gave her money. Similar to the case we were speaking about in the Gemara before regarding the Eved, where someone's giving the Eved money. Someone gave her money for Amala, and he's telling her, what am I giving you the money for? Almanas shetifti b'isam meiser. That I'm only giving you the money, you should be kained for this purpose, to be paid to the meiser. So now the question is, what happens over here with this money? Does this money go to her? She's kind of this money for herself, and now with her own money she's being paid the maisris from her husband, or no? Or do we say that the money that she got is not her money b'chlal, even though this condition was made, but nevertheless the money automatically belongs. The money automatically will belong to the master. Okay, so what do we see over here in this braisa?
Whose field is it?
The field is the husband's. We're talking about it according to this Pshat. The Gemara is saying now the field belongs to the husband, and she's taking the maisris from the husband, and she's being paid it with this money that someone gave her with this condition. So now, if the money belongs to the husband, so then she's basically doing the shlichus of the husband. It's the husband's meiser, it's the husband's money. So in such a case, she has to be paid it dafke with a chaimish, just like the husband himself. So the Tanakama over here that says, Tanakama, which is the Chachamim that says that she has to add a chaimish, is basically saying that you can't make a condition. The condition doesn't help. The money goes to the husband. So that's a contradiction to what Rabbanan said regarding an Eved, that you can give the money to the Eved with the condition, and the condition works. The money stays by the Eved. Rab Meir here is saying the exact opposite. Rab Meir is saying when you make this condition, what happens? The condition does work, and therefore the Isha is being paid the Maisa with her own money, and because it's with her own money, so over here she's being paid her husband's Maisris with her money, so you don't have to add a chaimish to that. Says the Gemara, but we know that Rab Meir and the Rabbanan said before the exact opposite regarding someone else that gives money with this condition, whether the condition takes effect or not. So Abaye says that we have to switch the opinions here. It's like a contradiction, and we're going to have to switch the opinions of Rab Meir and the Rabbanan. I don't see over here in Rashi or Tosfos saying which one of these two, which ones you have to switch. That means over here, the second one over here, this price over here, you have to switch the opinions of Rab Meir and the Rabbanan to fit with what they said before in the Mishnah. Rava says, Lo olam, lo tepech. We don't have to switch their opinions. Over here, the emissaries, the Bryce is speaking about a whole different story. What we're talking about over here is she got her own maisers. We're not talking about maisers that grew from the husband's properties, b'chlal. We're talking about maisers that she got as an inheritance from her father's, from her mother's father. She got her own meiser. She got her own yerusha. And Rab Meir follows his opinion that he said in another place. The Omar meiser mamen hektishu. The meiser sheni. What's meiser sheni? Meiser sheni is meiser that you eat yourself. You bring it to Yerushalayim and you eat it yourself. But nevertheless, Rab Meir says, what does that mean? Maisres be'emes is mamen hektish. It belongs to the Eibishter. Elamai, now the Eibishter comes and tells you what to do with it. You should go and eat it in Yerushalayim. But it's really mamen hektish. You're zeiche from Rashi's Lashon is, you're eating mishulchan gavaya. So therefore, in such a case, so the husband does not get b'chlal this meisters that she was zeichen. And here, according to the Pshat Gemara is saying now, she's not using her own money to redeem these meisters. She's using her husband's money. Her husband is giving her money to redeem the meisters that belong to her. So v'lei kani le baal. So the Baal is not kaine this meisters. So therefore it comes out that she's being paid her meisters with her husband's money. So in such a case, you don't have to add a chaimish because she's using someone else's money for her meisters. On the other hand, the Rabbanan's opinion is the Omri Momin had you to. Meiser Sheni does not belong to Hektish. And as you see, Pashtus, Meiser Hektish is something she can eat herself. So therefore, when she yarshens this Meiser Sheni, so the Kani Labal. Now the husband, whatever she gets, automatically the husband is kainit from her. So Ilkach shlichusa the Baal kavda. When she redeems this Ma'aser Sheni, the Ma'aser Sheni belongs to the husband. She's using her husband's money, so then she has to give a chaimish, just like any time a person redeems his own Ma'aser. She's just doing the shlichus of the husband. So it's a completely different machlekes based on the status of Mamin Hektish or Meiser or the Meiser Sheni, whether it is Mamin Hektish or it's not Mamin Hektish, nothing to do with the machlekes of another person giving her money with a condition. So there's no contradiction there. Okay, the Gemara begins now a new inyan. We're going to discuss another way how an Evet Kenani can leave from his master. Tana we learned in the Braise, in addition to what it said in the Mishnah, Yaitze B'Shen V'Ayin. Evet Kenani leaves with a tooth and an eye, which means if the master knocks out a tooth or blinds him and blinds his eye, or v'rashi evarim, other tips of limbs of his body that the master knocks off or cuts off, so if he gets harmed that way, then he goes out free. It has to be rashi evarim she'enim chayzerim. He's a rashi evarim that will never come back, which the Gemara will list it later on Daf Chafei. So the Gemara says, Bishloi mishen v'ayin ksivi. Shen v'ayin, it says clearly in the pasuk. Ela rashi evarim minalan. But the fact that we say that all other tips of limbs, that there's 24 of them, if he cut it off or if he damaged it, how do you know that over there as well he goes free? So it says, Gemara dum yidushem v'ayin, because we learn it out, we compare it to a tooth and eye. Mashen v'ayin, mumish begoloi, these are blemishes that are in a place in the body which are open. Veinon chayzerin, and if you knock out a tooth, it doesn't grow back, and the eye that's blind doesn't come back. Afkol mumish begoli vein chayzrin. Anytime there's a blemish in any of these tips of these evarim that do not come back, so then he goes free. How do you know to learn out from Shem v'ayin? Ve'eme, I should say, neheve Shem v'ayin kishnei ksuvim habon kechad. The Torah repeats the point about if the master knocks out an eye or knocks out a tooth that he goes free, and it's actually two psukim. And it says the shen separately and ayin separately. So, and the rule is, if the Torah repeats something twice, the very fact that the Torah has to repeat the same thing twice, it's telling you that it's only by these two and not by anything else. So you can't learn out from here. Says the Gemara, it's not called shnei ksuvim abam kechad because tzricha. There's a reason why the Torah had to write both of these. Right? So, but really, it's all considered to be one point. Because if the Torah would only write that if you knock out a tooth, then the Eved goes free, hava mineh, then I would make a mistake and think, I feel shen the chalav. Maybe this includes even the tooth of milk, which means the baby tooth, which after you knock it out, another tooth is going to grow in. So even in such a case, the Eved goes free. Kasav Rachmana ayin. So the Torah writes an eye, if you knock out an eye, so then you see here that it's after something that doesn't grow back. Because Rachmana ayin. On the other hand, if we only say the eye, hava mina, I would think ma ayin shenivra that only the eye, if you knock out an eye, which the person's created right away with this eye, so then he goes free if it's knocked out. Av kol shenivra only any other limb that's created with the person. Al v'shen loy, but the teeth. And we're talking about especially the bigger teeth that come later. They come, so they're not there when he's born. So maybe that's a kind of a part of the person that if it's knocked out, then the Eved does not go free. So tzricha, so the Torah had to write Shem v'ayin. So the fact that the Torah has to write both, so it's not writing both to teach me that you can't compare anything else. There's a reason I had to write both, and from here you can learn out that the same applies to other Rashi Evarim as well. But if you look in the language of the pasuk, ve'eme, why shouldn't we say v'chiyake klal? First, the pasuk says kiyake if you'll hit your eved, so that's including any kind of hitting. That's a klal. Then when it says shen v'ayin, then it says in the pasuk v'chiyake ishes ein avdoi, Then in another pasuk it says also Shen Avdoi. So Shen va'ayin, when it spells out these two, that's specifying a detail, dafke this. And the rule is klal uprat. When the Torah begins with a klal, and then it gives you a prat that specifies specifically, ein b'chlal, ela masha b'frat. So the prat comes and limits and defines exactly what the klal is, and it's only this. Shen v'ayin min, in, that is midachin ilai. So that's only the tooth and an eye, and not anything else. There's no other way that the Eved goes free, no other Rashi Evarim other than Shen v'ayin. Says the Gemara, lachavshi yishalchenu. When the pasuk says lachavshi yishalchenu, in the end of that pasuk, lachavshi yishalchenu tachas einoi chazav v'kolal. That's considered to be another klal, and therefore it's a klal uprat a klal, and iyatadon ele ke'ena prat. Once you have a klal uprat a klal, so then it doesn't have to be only the prat and nothing else, but it has to be similar to the prat. And therefore we say, ma prat mefurish mumshe begoli v'enim chayzrin. Just like the prat, what is the prat? What defines a prat? It's something which is an open mum. That's what the tooth is, the teeth and the eye, the teeth and the eyes. And ve'enim chayzrin, once you knock it out, it doesn't return. Avkol mum shebegoli ve'enim chayzrin. So to any other Rashi Evarim, it has to be a mum which is open and something that doesn't grow back. That's the limud. Klal prat klal. Fragt the Gemara, but ima haprat mufurish. Maybe we should take this klal prat klal a step further. Ima prat mufurish mumin shebegoloi ubatum melachtoi. That this is like we said before, mum shebegoloi, something which is open, but even now another point, batum melachtoi. If a person does not have his teeth, so then he can't do the work that the teeth usually do, to chew, to eat. And also benigay to the eyes. If the eyes are knocked out, he doesn't have the vision to see, to do work with the eyes. And also that it doesn't grow back. Afkol mum shebegoloi, all the other evarim that I say that the Eved goes free, it has to be a mum shebegoloi. It doesn't come back. But it also has to be batum melachtai. So the Gemara is asking that why are we marbe all these different Rashi evarim, even if it's not necessarily batum melachtai? As here the Gemara brings a braisa, which actually says, the other Rashi evarim that's a list that we'll see soon on Daf Chaf Hey. So over there, maybe those Rashi evarim are batum melachtai. But over here, the Gemara brings a braisa that says as follows: Allah metanya. Why does it say in a braisa? Tolash b'zikainoi v'dilu ba'yatzem. If the master pulled his slave's beard and it dislodged a bone, the Eved will go free for this. Even though he's not batum melachtai, and he can still eat properly, he can still do other work properly, he moved the bone out of his place, that's considered to be a damage that the Eved goes out free. So why? Shouldn't we learn out from Shen v'ayin that it has to be something which there's a bittul melacha? Answers the Gemara, L'chavshi yishalchenu. When the Torah finishes off with the words L'chavshi yishalchenu, ribuyu. This is coming to add, this is a ribuy. What the Gemara is saying is, before we said this is a klal, a prat, a klal, and it has to be ke'en haprat, similar to the prat, but now the Gemara is saying it's not a klal, a prat, a klal, it's a ribuy, which means there's a ribuy of chiyake, and then there's a miyut, which is shem va'ayin, and then there's another klal, l'chavshi yishalchenu, and once you have that, a ribuy, miyut, and ribuy, it's really marbe everything, and we only exclude one thing. Okay, Rashi over here says that in this case, even though usually there's a machlokes in Gemara, whether you darshan the entire Torah with klal prat klal, or you darshan the Torah with ribuy, miyut, and ribuy, but over here, la chavshi yishalchenu is not a klal. It's not like v'chiyake, which is speaking about the action of hitting, and then shem va'ayin is speaking about a specific place where you hit him, and then another klal relating to the prat. La chavshi yishalchenu is, everybody agrees, is a ribuy that's marba, that he goes out free, even if it's not exactly like the prat. So the Gemara asks, if so, if you have this ribuy, that it doesn't have to be like the prat, that he goes out free, so then afili kol yodai, how about even if he hits him on his hand, v'tzamsa, and his hand dried up, and now v'seifa lachsa, it's going to heal, and it's going to grow back as is. So nami, we should also say it goes free, because it's marbe, and v'yichayake, and then it says, l'chavshi yishalchenu, they should go out free either way. Allah matanya, why did we learn in a braisa? You call yoda v'tzamsa, you hit him on his hand and his hand dried, then v'seifa lachsa, it's going to heal. Ein eved yotze balachedus, he doesn't go free. Says the Gemara, im kain, if you would say that he goes out free even in such a case with such a small wound, shem v'ayin maya hanila. What is shem v'ayin? When the Torah spells out shem v'ayin, it has to be memait, something. Even when you have a ribud that's marba everything, but there's something you always have to be memait. This is the miyut. In a case where it's a wound, it's going to grow back. Tana Rabbanon, in a Braisa we learned about this Eved that leaves when his master damaged him and he goes out free. B'kulam Eved Yetze Ben L'cheiros. So by all these Roshei Varim that his master damaged, he goes out free, but V'tzarech get Shichror. In addition, he's going to need a get Shichror to become a full Yid, that he should be mutter than to marry a Bas Yisrael. Divrei Rab Shimon. Rab Meir Oime Ein Tzarech. Rab Meir says he does not need a get Shichror. Rab Elazar Oime Tzarech, he does need. Rab Tarfon Oime Ein Tzarech, he does not need. Rab Akiva Oime Tzarech, he does need. So all these different opinions here that argue about the same point. Hamachriim lefnei chachamim, there were those that in front of the chacham would be machriya to paskin the halachas. They say nirin divrei Rab Tarfon b'shem v'ayin. To us it seems that Rab Tarfon is right regarding when he knocked out a tooth or an eye. So over there he goes free and there's no need for any get shichror. Because Shatayr is over there, that's what the pasuk says clearly, that the Torah says he's free. Chavshi. But to us it seems that Rabbi Akiva is right regarding any other limbs, because over there it doesn't say it in the pasuk. Over there the fact that he leaves is a knas of the chachamim that the master should free him. So the Gemara right away asks on this, Knasu, this is a knas, or chachamim, this is a knas of the chachamim. Kroi kodashina. We just asked in the psukim before that there's a riboy that he goes free. Ella says the Gemara, Hoyel umedrish chachamim. True, it's not a knas chachamim, but since it's not mefurish in the pasuk, it's only a drasha. So in such a case, he is going to need a get in order to go free. So here Taisus explains the pshat in this. Why all of a sudden is any drasha less than something that's mefurish in the pasuk? So many psukim, so many halachas, maybe half a Torah, if not most of the halachas of Torah, are learned out from drashas, not from what's mefurish in the Torah. So Taisus says that it's tak only midrabanan, because since it's only a medrash chachamim and people don't necessarily know about this drasha, when you'll see this Eved walking around freely, someone's going to say to the Eved, you're free because you knocked out the tip of your finger. It doesn't say it in the pasuk. You're not really free. So people might look at him as an Eved. So therefore chachamim were misakin that anything other than Shem v'ayin, which is not mefurish, you should give him a get shichr, so people shouldn't think that he's still an Eved. Says the Gemara, my time at Rab Shimon. What's the reason that Rab Shimon says that even by Shen v'ayin, it says clearly in the pasuk, lachavshi, goes out free. Why does he say that he has to have a get shichr to be free fully to be able to marry a Bas Yisrael? Yalef shiluach miisha. He learns out the lashon that it says here that yishalchenu, and the lashon that it says by isha, by a get, that the get is v'shilcham yibeisai. So you learn out from there ma isha b'shtar. Like by isha, it's with a star, with the get. Af eved nami b'shtar. Here as well, when it says lachavshi yishalchenu, the yishalchenu means with a get. But Rab Meir that says that he goes free through the Shem v'ayin without a get. Iksiv chavshi lebasayv kidekamret. If the language of the pasuk would have been yishalchenu and then chavshi, then I would have said that, like he's saying that we learn out from Isha that only through the yishalchenu, like an Isha, then chavshi, then he becomes free. Hashtu d'chsev lachavshi and then yishalchenu. So what I understand from this is havale chavshi meikara. The pasuk is saying first chavshi that you should understand. Don't compare it to the Isha. He's 100% free, and so yishalchenu is coming after the chavshi. You don't need any get for that. Tana Rabbanon, we learned in the Braisa about this halacha of David going free. He ko al einoi v'sama. He hit him on his eye directly, and he blinded him. Or al oznoi. He hit him on his ear, v'chersha, and he became deaf. Eved yetz ben l'cheidos, the Eved goes free. Even though you might say that when a person is deaf, you can't even see that he's deaf. And before we said it has to be a mumshe begal, something that's noticeable. But a person that's deaf is considered to be a mumshe begal because you can see right away that he can't communicate properly, he can't hear, so that's a mumshe begal, he goes free. Now, keneged einoi, if this Eved was standing near a wall and you gave a very strong, loud bang on the wall, you didn't touch him, just on the wall, near his eye. And he got so startled by this that now he can't see. Or keneged oznoi, or the sound that you banged on the wall near his eye, near his ear, that is. And now he can't hear. In such a case, he does not go out free. It's only if you hit him directly, then he goes free. Why are we making such a distinction? Shall we say the kala la'af klumu? If you damage by sound, then that's nothing. You potter for such a kind of a damage. You could say that it's indirect. It's more like a grama, so therefore you would be potter. But Vatani Rami Bar Yecheskel taught the following halacha regarding the damages that an animal causes. Tarnaga, if a chicken went shahoishit roishai la'aveklis chuchis, he stuck his head into a glass keli, v'takaboy, and this chicken blew into it or made a noise into it, and he broke this glass keli. Mishalim nezik shalim. He's going to pay full payment for this damage. Amar Rav Yosef, Amri Beirav. Rav Yosef taught that in the yeshiva of Rav, they said, Sus shetzanav v'chamer shenoar, a horse that neighed, I think it is, and a donkey that brayed. So vishavru kelim, and with this noise they broke different vessels. V'toich bayis in a house. Misham chatzin ezek. So because they didn't directly break it, but it was only through the sound they made, so they pay chatzin ezek. Rashi here explains the machlokes between Rami Bar Yecheskel and what Rav Yosef brings from Rav, whether you pay nezek shalom or chatzi nezek, is based on the halacha of tzreiris. The halacha by tzreiris is an animal that's kicking pebbles, and then the pebble goes and breaks something. So because it didn't happen from the guf of the animal itself, it's from the koyach of the animal through the pebbles. So over there's a machlokes about this. One opinion says that there's halacha l'moshe misinai that you only pay chatzi nezek. But another opinion, which is sumcha, says that you, even in such a case when it's the koyach of the animal, it's indirect, you pay nezek shalom. So over here as well, the animal did not damage these vessels directly, it was with the sound that it made. So there's a machlokes here whether you pay nezek shalom or chatzi nezek. But either way, the point is, you see that the sound, you chayiv to pay for it. You're not totally potter. So why are you saying that if the master blinded his eved or made him deaf and it was indirect, he hit the wall, so that he should not go free? So the Gemara answers, you can't compare the damage by an animal, or by kalim actually, when animals damage kalim, to damaging that caused in the person himself. Shani Adam. By a human being it's different, the kivin, the bardasu, because since he has a mind of his own, iu mavis nafshe. So to some extent, he's contributing here to this that he became blind, or to this that he became deaf, because it's the fear that he got so startled by this bang that causes that he should become blind or deaf. So therefore, we can't be mechayev the master for this, and he doesn't go free. Kedetanya, as we learned in the Braisa, hamavis es chaveiroi potem midinei yodam. If you scare your friend by a sound and it causes a damage to him, so you're going to be potem midinei yodam, but v'chayev midinei shemaim. It's only called a grama. It's indirect, and he really is, because he's a bardas. So by him being prone to this kind of a fear, so he's doing it as well. So you're going to be potem. But you chayev midinei shemaim, just like every time a grama is chayev midinei shemaim. Keitzat taka ba'oznoi v'chershoy. You, with a sound, you blew into his ear and he became deaf, so you're going to be potter. But achzahu v'taka ba'oznoi. But it's going to be different though if you grab hold of him, so you're physically holding him, and then you blow into his ear v'chershoy, and then you're making him deaf. Then chayiv. Then you're going to be chayiv. If you're physically holding on to it, then it's not the grama. Then you're going to be chayiv. Tana Rabbanan in a Braisa, we learned another halacha about this. He called Einoi v'kasa. A person, you hit someone on the eved, the master is, he hit the eved on his eyes, and it became weaker. His sight, his vision became weaker. Or al shino, you hit him on his mouth, on his teeth, v'nodida, and his teeth are not shaking. What's the halacha? Does he go free or not? If he can still use his eyes or his teeth, achshav, so then ain't ever yetz ben lecheres. So he can still use them now, so he doesn't go free. If they're not using, his vision can't see anything anymore, even though it's weaker, but he can't really see with it. He can't use his teeth to eat with it, so he goes free. Tanya, on another Braisa we learned, the halacha that says, what if the vision of his eved was already weak? And then Visima, the master came and blinded him. Or Shinoi Neduda, his teeth were already shaking, Vipila, and the master knocked it out. So what's the halacha here? If he was able to use it before, and now you knocked out his eye or tooth, because it had use before, now it's not. But Vimlav, if before it was weak enough or shaking enough that he couldn't even use it at all, so now that you blinded him or knocked out the tooth completely, it doesn't go free. So seemingly, these two brises are based on the same point. So why is it repeating them? It says the Gemara, Tzricha has to teach me both of these halachas. If it would say the first case, so then I would say, Mishum de meikara nohire body. The reason there why he goes free when you weaken his eyesight is because he had perfect eyesight before. And now he has weak eyesight. So you took away that perfect eyesight, so therefore he goes free. So that he weakened the eyesight to the point that he can't use his vision anymore, and it was perfect in the beginning. But in a case where his eyesight in the beginning was weak, Even if you blinded him completely, so he shouldn't go free. On the other hand, if would only say this case where he blinded him when he already had before weak eyesight, maybe the reason he goes free is because now he's completely blind. But in the first case, where he did not totally blind him, even though he took away his perfect eyesight, but he's not totally blind, you should not go free. Therefore, the Braisa has to teach both of these halachas. Tana Rabbanan, in a Braisa we learned another halacha. If this Eved's master is a doctor, and the Eved says to his master, that he should put some drops of medicine into his eyes to heal his eyes. And the master, the doctor, went and did what he did, and instead of healing him, he blinded him. But it was done unintentionally. He wanted to heal him. Or he asks his master, which is a dentist, to drill his tooth and to heal him, and he caused his tooth to fall out. He could laugh at his master and go free. Even though it was unintentional, but he goes free. When the pasuk says that he damaged something in his slave and he goes free, it says vishicha. What does that mean? It has to be intentional, not like in the case of a doctor or a dentist where it was unintentional. Rabbanon, says the Gemara, according to the Rabbanon that disagree to this drasha, what do they learn out from this vishicha that they don't want to learn out this drasha? They learn out from this what it says in the Braisa. If a master is helping, he's a doctor, he's giving birth, he's helping his maidservant, that is, give birth. And so he sticks his hands to take out the baby, and Visima Umar Ubar Shabmeyel. And as he's helping the baby be born, he blinds the baby. Potter. In such a case, he'll be potter, and the baby born will not go free, even though he blinded this Eved that's just born now. My timed or makro v'shichasa. Here's where the Rabbanan do darshan this pasuk v'shichasa achi yechavin l'shachasa, until he has the intention to damage the baby or when he blinds. Okay, so over here the point is that he had absolutely no kavanah for the eye b'chlal. In the case of a doctor, he had a kavanah to put the drops into the eye. He wanted to put the drops into the eye to heal. But instead, he put in too much drops or whatever he did, and it burnt the eye, it blinded the eye. Such a case, the Rabbanan say that the Eved's going to go free, because the master did what he did. He was aiming for the eye intentionally, even though not for the intention to damage. Mashenkin, when he's trying to help the baby be born, he wasn't aiming for the eye at all. So therefore, in such a case, the Rabbanan will agree that he goes free. Taisus actually, that he does not go free, that is. Taisus actually adds to this, not only didn't he aim for the eye, but he actually aimed for something good. He was trying to help the birth. So he has a punta opposite kavanah to help. And therefore, in such a case, he will not go free. The other opinion, why didn't he say that we learn out from Vishichasa only in such an extreme case, that Dafke, when he did not even aim for the eye at all, only then does he not go out free? How did he know to darshan any time that it wasn't intentional, he doesn't go out free, even if he did aim for the eye? So the other opinion over here in the Braisa is Vishiches Vishichasa. The pasuk could have said Vishiches and it adds the extra hey to emphasize Vishichasa, to say that even if it was unintentional, he aimed for the eye, as long as it was unintentional, then he doesn't go free. But the Chacham disagree. They don't consider that to be extra in the language of the pasuk. If the slave's eye, he's already blind. Now the master removed the eye from his body. He goes free, even though he's already blind. If the eye is not useful at all, but nevertheless, if he took the eye out, he goes free. My time, what's the source for this? Because over here there's an additional damage that he did. It's not only that he has a blemish, but now he's missing a limb. He took out the eye. And we have a rai for this, what the Tana said in a Braisa regarding the halacha by the karbonis. So it says tamus v'zachris b'behemah, the halacha that you have to have a carbon. There has to be a tam, no blemish, and has to be a zachar. That applies by a behemah. Bevein tamus v'zachris b'ifis. Regarding birds that are brought as a carbon, there's no halacha of a blemish. That's not good, and there's no halacha that has to be a zachar. Now, Yachal, I would think, Yafsha Gapa, if the wing is totally dry, or Nikta Ragla, the foot is cut off, Nechtata Eina, or eye was poked out completely, I would think that by a bird that could be brought as a carbon. Talmud loima minaoif. When the pasuk says you bring from birds, it says minaoif v'lo koloif, which means not all birds could be brought as a carbon. If it's mechuse eiver, so then it can't be brought as a carbon. So we can see over here that there's a difference between a blemish and mechuse eiver. Once it's mechuse eiver, it's a bigger psul. Same thing regarding a eved. Once you took out the eye completely, so then it's a bigger damage and it'll go out free. Let's just finish off to the two dots right on the top. If this slave had an extra finger, a sixth finger, and the master cut it off, he goes out free, even though he seemingly is just extra, then he cut it off, but he goes out free as well. Gavayad, that is. That's only if it's together, it's the same, it goes together with the other fingers, it's long enough, similar to the other fingers, and then he cuts it off, the slave goes out free.